Welcome aboard the Wedding Empires podcast with yours truly, Jack Bowie, where we plunge into the depths of creativity, entrepreneurship, and the love-infused world of weddings. Each episode, we're going to unpack strategies, insights, and stories that empower you to craft the wedding business of your dreams. Welcome to the Wedding Empires podcast.
We are now on episode 2 of season 3 of Wedding Empires. Benjamin, always a pleasure.
Oh, Benjamin, I'm in trouble already. We're one episode deep and I'm in trouble already.
We're well past that. We have a very, very special guest today. I'm very excited about this one because this lady knows you very well.
She does know a lot about me, more than probably anybody else.
Oh,
yeah.
How many years has this lovely lady known you?
4.
4 years. Mm. And she puts up with all your madness.
I know, and I haven't been murdered and buried yet. So we're doing well.
Yeah, so she must be very special and she must be very good at handling stress.
Get out.
The reason I say that, you know, of course, it's yet another cheesy segue. Hayley Robinson, it's so nice to finally meet you.
And it's nice to meet you too.
Welcome to our little podcast. Now you know what he actually goes off and does when he comes up to Black Mountain.
Welcome to the couch.
So we've been dying to get you on because you're an expert in reducing stress and helping other people reduce stress in their life. And being in the wedding industry and being at weddings is damn stressful at times. So
as she found out yesterday, actually, helping me at a wedding.
We'll have to cover that because I'm sure you've got some first-hand insight on
She's an expert at managing me.
Yeah, wow. Okay. Well, look, why don't we kick it off with you two having a little bit of a chat.
Right.
I'm sure there's a bit of an intro you could do about your lovely partner.
Hi, Hayley.
Hi.
You come here often? So it's been ages since I've spoken to you. How are you going?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
That's good. It's been a long drive here in the car, hasn't it?
Oh, yes.
Yes. It's half an hour since we've spoken. Thank you so much for joining us today.
That's my pleasure.
We're both very excited to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit about you? So how did this journey of what you do come about?
So I'm a former police officer, and during my time as a police officer, I would often practice yoga to help me sort of manage the stress and everything I had to deal with on a daily basis as part of the job. And I just found I felt so much better every time that I practiced yoga. And then I decided to become a qualified yoga instructor, and I went through and did my level 1 teacher training. And then not long after that, I left the police. I had to resign based on medical reasons. So then after that, I just continued teaching yoga, and then I started working with co-workers from the QPS who were experiencing PTSD, and I started noticing the profound difference in them when between pre-session and post-session, and how much more calm and relaxed they appeared. And I just started, the more I practiced with them, the more I began to notice the stress reduction, and their ability to manage and regulate themselves started to increase. And so that was back 2018. And so I've been teaching yoga on and off since then. And now I teach therapeutic yoga with people who are trauma psychosocial recovery people. And I noticed a huge difference in the long-term clients that I have there as well. And I also now teach and help people in sort of more from a business aspect, help manage their stress using the principles of yoga and bringing that into their daily life, and how they can find little hacks and tips and tricks and everything like that to bring into their daily life to negate the effects of stress.
I need you in my life, not seriously though. This is something that will probably come to a shock to a lot of people that know me and know me through the Wedding Academy and whatnot. But I have complex PTSD, and which, to explain very quickly, is PTSD is quite often a one singular traumatic event whereas complex PTSD is many, many over a prolonged period of time. And in my case, it was 35 years. And it means that I go from 0 to 100 very quickly. And up until knowing what it was and getting treatment, I was sitting at probably 80 out of 100 just permanently in my life every day. Yeah. And so throw in a stressful wedding on top of that, working as a wedding planner. I really needed you. Like about 5 years too late.
And if I can add the idiot spin to that, just a disclaimer to say that wasn't me that caused that complex PTSD.
Yeah, it was before you.
It was well before me, everyone. So
I had to up my medication once we met, but no, that's not true. Anyway, so no, I did not know that about you. I knew that that you help people deal with stress, but you've obviously got that knowledge as well about PTSD and how the connection there. Yeah. So was yesterday your first time working with Ben on a wedding, or have you done it before?
No, I've done it before.
And how do you find it?
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun because it just throws in a bit of something different to do, so it doesn't keep life.
And what's your role when you do this?
I'm the assistant. I hold flashes, I pass bits and pieces, get lenses out of the bag, put things back and all that kind of stuff.
And Hayley does take photos too.
Oh.
So I'll set her up with a camera and she'll do her thing, and I'll sort of tell her, say, I want a reaction of the groom when the bride walks down the aisle or something, and I'll kind of give her a job and she will do that
She'll
job.
nail it.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I'm sure going to these weddings and seeing what he does firsthand, you'd have some ideas around how people get stressed in those moments, and there's a lot to juggle and things can go wrong, and you've got to keep a clear mind and deal with those things. Have you got any kind of obvious tips? Maybe, I don't know, like is there things that we could do as a wedding professional before the event to help prevent, and to keep us calm, or is there things that we could do during the event to sort of help equalise, if that's the right word?
Well, you like knowing firsthand, like working with Ben, I know exactly how it can be, and so I can relate 100%. So first and foremost, breath, coming back to your breath is the number one thing that you can control right then and there, because there's so many different variables. You've got a stressed out bride, you've got makeup artists coming in and out, you've got the hair and makeup, you've got all the bridesmaids, everyone trying to come in and talk to the bride when you're trying to take photos of the bride, or like in saying a wedding planning thing, you've got the bride ringing up, you've got some disaster happening, or they're changing venues or something like that. So there's so many different variables happening, but the one thing that you can always control is your breath. And so when you take a slow, deep inhale in, deep down into the lower part of the belly, you're activating through something called the diaphragm. The diaphragmatic muscle sits at the base of the lungs. It's sort of like a plate-shaped muscle. And so when you activate that diaphragmatic muscle, it starts to pull the lungs down. So the lungs themselves don't actually work. They just sit there. It's like an accordion. So when you get the accordion, you actually have to pull the accordion open, and it forms a negative pressure inside the lungs, which draws the air in. And so when you're activating that diaphragmatic muscle, it's pulling the lungs down, drawing increasing the volume of the lungs and increasing that capacity. But through the activation of that diaphragmatic muscle, you're activating something called the vagal nerve. And now the vagal nerve is then activates something called the relaxation response. So everyone's probably heard the stress response, which is the flight or fight response.
Well.
But then you've got the relaxation response, which is which helps bring the body back down into a calm, relaxed state. So every time you take a slow, deep inhale right down to that lower part of the belly, filling the lungs completely, you're starting to therefore activate that relaxation response in the body, which is then going to start to calm the body down. A really, really good one that I always find is very quick at regulating the nervous system is taking a deep breath in till you're 80% full, and then taking a remainder 20% full, and then just slowly exhale out, just let it just melt out of the body, and do that 3 times. And that's a really, really quick way of just bringing you back into the moment, because when you've got so much going on in such a high, fast-paced environment, you become dysregulated very, very quickly, because there's so much stimulation, there's so much everything to think about. But taking that slow, deep inhale just allows the body to reset itself momentarily, and then you can go, right, what's important now? What do I need to do in this moment to manage this situation, or keep myself going through the rest of this day?
And sorry, another one my therapist taught me, and we've tried lots of things to sort of take me from 100 and calm me down.
Yeah.
But one that works for me is think about something you can see, something you can hear, something you can smell.
Yeah.
Think, what's the other one? Something you can
Something
taste.
you can touch.
Yeah. And it just seems to distract you and give you something to think about, and against your own will, it distracts you, and it seems to calm.
What that's doing is it brings you back into the logical brain. So you've got emotional brain, which is where all the emotions happen. It's where you start to get dysregulated. Everything's all heightened. But then when you give yourself something logical to think about, like a complex maths equation, the 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can smell, and everything like that, it starts the brain thinking, oh, okay, what am I able to process? What can I observe? What can I it takes the attention away from that emotional center, and then starts to bring you back into a more calm, relaxed state, because it's using a different part of the brain. Another really good one that I always that you can't really do in the moment when you're, I'll say, on the job, but at home, to negate the effects of everything that's happened throughout the day, is focus on doing things that are going to release oxytocin, because oxytocin is going to then help to negate the effects of cortisol, which is the stress hormone. Oxytocin is known as like the hugging hormone or the love hormone. So you always hear about when a mother has a baby and they have that oxytocin release, that initial cuddle, and they get that really strong bond to begin with. It's because there's a huge dump of oxytocin. So you can sort of recreate that by giving somebody a hug, like one of your kids or a partner or something like that, coming home, and it's got to be about 20 seconds to get that dump of oxytocin released into the system. Hopping into a nice warm bath, because that sort of mimics that hug, that warmth, that closeness, and that feeling of safety, and it will help to bring you back down into the more calm, relaxed state. So if you can't always take away the stress of of the day or of the job, but you can always come home and do something to counteract that. And then also too, what happens is we tend to store a lot of stress in our body. And so we'll, particularly the stress triangle, so we've got so the base of our skull down through the neck through to the shoulders is something referred to as the stress triangle. And so if you think you're stressed, you start to tighten up through the neck, and it's a typical sign like, oh, I'm so stressed, my neck's really stiff and tight, my shoulders are tight, because we hold a lot of stress in our shoulders in that stress triangle. Excuse me. And also the hips. The amount of times that I've had people in deep hip opening exercises and they've bursted into tears and they're like, I don't even know why I'm crying. Like, I don't know where this has come from. It's because there's an emotional center in the hip area. And so when they're in long, slow holds and deep stretching in through the hip area, they start to release them through sort of the subconscious, start to release all the emotions, and you don't always know why, or you don't always know what emotions you're releasing, but emotions are being released. So it's things you can do at home after to counteract whatever's going on through the day or what you've experienced.
Wow.
Before we heard about that breathing, I bet everyone listening was kind of thinking, oh my God, like, I'm not going to walk down and bust a celebrant in the middle of a down dog or something like that, trying to de-stress at a wedding day, or like there's a decorator praying to the sun or something like that. Breathing, okay, this is good. So that breathing technique, what's the name of that?
Well, I don't really have a name, but it's just basically like, let's just, for the sake of it, call it 80-20. So 80% breathe in, 80%, 20% hold, and then exhale. And then do that 3 times, and you'll find it quickly starts to calm the body down. So it's something that you can do on the spot there without anybody really noticing what you're doing. You can be, say, like as a photographer, unpacking the gear or a lens, and then do 3 quick breaths just to calm. All right, reset. Okay, what do I need to do now?
I quite often do those breaths trying to talk myself out of murdering someone. At a wedding.
If that works.
It seems to work. But another question is, I'm a dog person, and Jack, you're a dog. Hayley's a dog person. We're all dog people. We've got 3 puppies between us. Dogs shake to get rid of stress.
Yes.
So could I come home, have a bath, get out and shake like a dog and like feel good? Like, I'm such a typical idiot boy in this scenario, aren't I? Jack is the voice of reason, Hayley's the voice of reason, and I feel like I'm the thorn among 2 roses sitting here on the couch.
No, but I couldn't handle stress. I've had to get a prescription for something to sort of help me just take me on I'm not at 0, but I'm not at 80 anymore. I'm sort of, I don't know, 20 or something. But it's helped me not fly off the handle and have more clarity. If my husband gives me the shits, I'm not kicking him out and getting a divorce. I'm at least like entertaining what he's got to say.
Oh, I love it. So essentially we could have a shake.
Yes, we essentially could. Yeah. So it sounds silly, but actually shaking things off, like physically shaking and moving the body, helps to discharge that energy. So like any dog owners will have known this, like you were out walking your dog and the dog sees say another dog or some kind of animal, and it gets all its hair stand up on end, and then once the threat has gone, the dog will shake. The dog will just physically shake and give yourself a good shake, and then off it goes again. The same thing happens in a wild. There's this beautiful clip on, well, not so much beautiful, but this amazing clip that shows this whole principle perfectly. Is I think it's a leopard or a cheetah or something has caught this gazelle and has brought it in, and the gazelle has gone into a freeze response, which is either the flight, or freeze. The gazelle's gone into a freeze response, so it looks like it's dead, but it's not. It's just frozen. And then these hyenas or baboons come along, frighten away the cheetah, and so the gazelle is just laying there, and the gazelle starts breathing again. Then all of a sudden it starts convulsing and shaking, and it looks like it's having a fit, but what it's actually doing is starting to discharge that energy out of its body, discharge all the adrenaline and everything that was built up. And then all of a sudden the gazelle gets up and off it trots to live another day. And it's because animals instinctively know to shake that stress off out of their body, and then once they've shaken it off, then that's why they don't walk around with, say, PTSD or any trauma issues, is because they get rid of that stress right after the exposure, and then they're nearly all of the time fine to walk away and be okay after that. But it's not socially appropriate for a human to be in a shop, have an encounter, and then start shaking all your limbs and
jumping up and down. You guys never heard of the song by Taylor Swift?
Yeah, shake it off.
I'm like, it's perfectly fine, actually.
So everyone, you heard it here first. When things go sideways at a wedding, it's okay to stand there and shake for a bit.
But even if you could just walk, like even just something as simple as flicking your hands, or going into I'm just going to quickly duck to the bathroom, going into the bathroom, shut the door, do 5 or 6 squats.
That's after you go.
Yeah. 5 or 6 squats in the bathroom, or like literally shake your hands in the air, or do something to get that energy, because when you're angry or frustrated or something is intense, you can feel it, especially around sort of the heart area. You feel it all in your chest, that tightening, that everything's just starting to get too overwhelming. You go in, say, into the bathroom in a private area where there's no bridal party or anything like that, and you can actually shake. You could do like 5 or 6 squats, and that physical movement of the body, that vigorous movement, is just enough to get it out of your system. And then you'll find that when you re-enter that back in that room, you're like, okay, let's start again.
So I'm going to take things in a little bit of a personal manner.
Oh, excellent. Should I get my popcorn?
Oh, God, no. Wine? No. So as a creative, I know that I have a very personal relationship with ADHD, and these kind of techniques have helped me to navigate certain situations that I've found myself in. Would you like to share how this helps in an ADHD sort of situation?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I have ADHD as well. Mine is more internal rather than external. So I experience the overwhelm and the emotional dysregulation that comes along with ADHD. So I can speak 100% from experience.
And just to add, we are both diagnosed. This is not a little home diagnosis at all. So. Yeah.
If you're in the business of making dreams come true, listen up, because the Wedding Academy is your ticket to success. Running a wedding business isn't always a walk down the aisle. It takes skill, savvy, and a whole lot of know-how. That's where the Wedding Academy swoops in to save the day. Imagine easy-to-follow certificate courses taught by industry pros covering everything from wedding styling to floral design to even marketing and business for any kind of wedding business. All Wedding Academy courses are 100% online, self-paced, and come with ongoing training and support to keep you up to date. And here's the cherry on top. I've wrangled up an exclusive deal. Just punch in the code PODCAST when you enroll and bam, you'll score a sweet 5% off any course. Ready to take your wedding business to the next level? Then head on over to the Wedding Academy today at weddingacademyglobal.com. Don't forget to plug in that code PODCAST to check out with your special discount.
So, sorry, what was the question? Is it typical ADHD?
Let's go for a swim. So how does this help someone with ADHD? Because I know there's so many creatives out there that I don't want to say suffer from this, because I wouldn't really call it suffering. I think it's a bit of a superpower, to be honest, in some occasions. But it does mean that we tend to be internally juggling a lot, and that can be a bit overwhelming, and that can cause stress. So in your experience doing this yourself, can you share how doing this for yourself has impacted you and how it's enabled you to manage what happens for you and what you go through?
Yeah. So it definitely, I practice what I preach. I'm not just sitting here going, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. I actually do all this stuff myself. And one of the greatest things that I have found is finding moments of quietness, because there's so much internal chaos that goes on my brain on a daily basis. Like, I'm constantly thinking, constantly got bits and pieces zooming around my brain. So finding stillness lots of times throughout the day, just to sit and do nothing. Like, there is great power in doing nothing, because it enables the brain to reset. And especially as a creative as well, you've got all these amazing ideas, you've got all this inspiration, you've got all this stuff constantly swirling around in the brain, and the brain's not designed to be going 100% of the time. So sitting on the couch, and I'm actually giving everyone permission to sit and do nothing several times a day. Walking to the couch, sitting at a blank wall, get rid of your phone for starters. Phones are bad. Sitting on the couch, doing nothing other than staring at the wall or staring out to beautiful trees that got outside. Trees are fantastic to stare at because it allows the body just to come back down, to be quiet, to be still, and find those moments of pause and moments of reflection. And you'll actually find your productivity increases as well, because you're not sending yourself into overdrive, you're not pushing yourself to extreme boundaries all the time. So having frequent pauses through the day allows you to be more productive. Yeah.
Guess what I do to relax?
What?
Pop.
Well, that did come up in therapy. It's a funny story, right? I had a therapist who was working through my complex PTSD and saying, you need to find times in the day to stop. And she tried, I've done yoga. I don't mind yoga. I will go back to yoga at some point soon. I actually didn't mind that. But meditation, very hard for me to stop and not think about anything else. I've got a million things going on at once, always. But yeah, she tried all these different things, and it was so funny because none of them worked. And even to the point that she gave me an adult colouring book, and I got stressed when I went out of the lines. So I found that really stressful. And so we ended up, I had a hot tub at the time, and I said, I'm just going to tell it how it is. What I do is I sit in my hot tub and I have a rosé spritzer, and then I finally switch off. But now it's I sit on the couch and I watch Real Housewives. And I know that it's it can't be the right thing to do. I know that it's not the right thing to do, but something about that dumb show just makes my brain completely switch off. Women screaming at each other and yelling at each other, tables being... I just sit there and my brain just switches off. It's the only thing that works.
I suppose because it's essentially removing you out of your own life.
Probably.
And out of your own head, and then going into their lives and having half an hour or however long the show goes for in their lives. So you're forgetting about everything that's going on in your life. And so then when you come back to your reality, I feel reset, I feel refreshed because my brain has left.
Meanwhile, my husband's walking around going, I don't know how you can watch this shit. And I'm like, I love it. I just feel relaxed. I look forward to it all day, and I just feel great after I've watched it.
But it's highly individual what is going, everyone knows what works for them. I can't sit here and say, everyone needs to sit down and do colouring in, because it's not always going to be someone's jam.
No. But that for me is the one thing that will make me stop and not speak and not be on my device and not think about everything else.
Yeah. So it's finding, and you'll know what your thing is. I've got a mate and he rides motorbikes, and whenever, because he's a police officer, and so whenever things get a bit too much, he jumps on his bike and off he goes for a ride. It clears his head, comes back, he's refreshed, he's reset.
So we've talked about breath work.
Yes.
And we've had a bit of a joke about having a shake, which is not so jokey. We haven't really touched on the yoga side of things. Now, I know that you've said to me in the past that some of the blokey blokes and the a cross section of the community might think that yoga is a little bit woo woo and that sort of stuff. So, can you share with us how yoga can help manage stress and can help with flexibility and all kinds of good health within the body?
Mm-hmm. So our mind controls the body and our body controls the mind. So you think if you're at a wedding and you're moving quickly, you're moving fast, and you're moving, everything's moving rapidly, it's going to send a signal to the brain saying that, we're moving quick, we're moving fast, we must be stressed. And so you're going to start producing a lot of neurochemistry that's going to start triggering more of a stress response within the body. And so it's a self-perpetuating cycle. So the brain will think that we're stressed, it's going to move the body more erratically, more quicker. And then as the body moves quicker and faster, it then sends more signals back up to the brain. And so it's just a self-perpetuating cycle. With yoga, it reverses that. So if the mind is racing, if the mind is going quickly, and we start moving in intentional, slow-paced movements, it's then going to start sending signals to the brain, saying to the brain, oh, we're moving slowly. There mustn't be any threat around. There mustn't be anything threatening our survival. So it's okay to start to slow down. It's okay to start to come back into the moment and not projecting our thoughts in our mind into future or past events. And bringing yourself back into the moment. And then as the brain starts to calm down, the body so too will start to calm down. Your heart rate will start to decrease. Your breath rate will start to decrease. And so doing the longer, slower stretches as well and the deeper stretches, it is essentially a mindfulness practice because you're focused on that muscle stretching. You can feel that muscle stretching and it brings you back into the moment. Because as you stretch, your awareness comes onto that stretching muscle. So there's an element of that mindfulness happening as well. There's detoxification that occurs like when you begin to stretch and when you begin to move the body. You start to activate muscles, the muscles contract, and as the muscles contract, it starts pumping the lymphatic fluid more around the body more, and so it starts to cleanse the body and clear the body. You're doing breath work, which starts to increase the oxygen intake into the body, so the body starts to become more oxygenated, and then as you release, you're releasing more of that carbon dioxide and toxins with that as well. So there's various aspects and reasons why yoga is so beneficial for the body, and then also too it activates the relaxation response and starts to bring the body back down into a more calm, relaxed state. And so there's several factors that come into play. I'm not going to go into that because it's a whole other podcast itself. But yeah, so yoga is highly beneficial, but like things like Tai Chi as well. That's amazing. Qigong is another good one as well, because they're all slow moving, slow paced movements and flowing sequences that allow the body just to come back into a more calm, relaxed state. Like slow walking through the bush is another fantastic one as well. Anything that's going to slow the body down is going to slow the mind down as well. I remember when I first started yoga, it was difficult for me to start to switch the mind off because the mind was continuously going. It was continually racing around with all these different thoughts. But it's like anything, the more that you do it, the more that you practice it, the better you become at it. And so once I overcame that initial hurdle of trying to fight with my mind and allowed myself just to come back into the moment, then that's when I started to notice all the benefits of yoga.
So speaking of high speed, you're probably all wondering why Jack has been unusually quiet. And that's because her high-speed doggy, Louie, decided that he was going to try and chase an equally high-speed, slightly bigger furry animal outside. So Jack has gone out to rescue him, and I think she's got him now. Hayley, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully Jack will be back in a minute. Have you got an offer? Is there some way that people can reach out to you if we have wedding professionals out there who are struggling with dealing with stress on the day, you know, having moments like I do occasionally where I just want to throw my hands in the air and go, oh my God, get me out of here. How can people reach out to you? Do you do this sort of thing one-on-one? Like, let us know. Yeah.
So I've got a website. It's hayleyrobinson.com.au. So HAYLEYROBINSON.com.au. So you can find me there. I don't have a social media platform, purely because it's not in alignment with what I'm preaching. So I don't want people I don't believe social media is good for the mind, and it activates the stress response. So why would I put myself on social media? It just goes against everything that I teach.
Now that you say that is so right and counterintuitive to marketing now. So that's an interesting take.
If people want to find me, please do come to my website. There's a little section on there where you can contact me. Just fill out the form and connect with me that way, and send me an email, and then I'll be able to respond there. So I teach yoga. I teach therapeutic yoga. That can be a little difficult via Zoom because you can't always get the full effect of that. However, I do stress coaching, teaching people how to negate the effects of stress. So everything that we've discussed today, plus a whole lot more. I've got a whole lot of more things up my sleeve. So I do one-on-one coaching. I can do that via Zoom, and I give people activities to take away and do. Get people thinking differently about what happens in their daily life, and teaching people about their body and how their body works, because once people know and understand how the body works, then we're able to have better control over our body and have better awareness over the body, and then when we've got better awareness, we can take better action. Yeah.
So you have an offer for us that you can share today?
Yes. So my offer for listeners today, it's $50 off my one-on-one coaching calls. So it's, if you just drop a line to my website onto the contact page, just mention the fact that you've been listening today to the podcast, and I'll take $50 off the coaching call.
And the link to that will be in the bio below. Mm-hmm. And Jack's back now. She's caught her small furry animal.
I had to de-stress Louis.
Jack,
did he shake it off?
That sounded horrible. So, the beauty of this is I'm going to get one of those free sessions on the car on the way home from Jack's.
Rub it in.
Yes.
When can I borrow her?
Whenever you want.
Okay, all right, I'll book you.
Sounds like Louis going to need a de-stress too.
I think so. Oh, so lovely to meet you, Hayley. Thank you.
You too.
All right, I'm sure that a lot of the listeners are going to go, great, something to do to just remove me from this moment right now. Go in the car and breathe.
Well, everyone does know that your high-speed little doggy just chased something equally high-speed and you caught him. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, guys, thank you very much for joining us for episode 2, season 3.
Yes.
Look at us go.
I know.
We'll be back soon for another one.
I know. Fabulous. I might actually come down and meet up with you.
Yeah.
We'll smash out a few. What do you reckon?
That'd be exciting.
All right. Thanks, guys. And as always, you can catch me at weddingacademyglobal.com and Ben at
www.benconley.com.au.
I reckon they know the www bit.
Yeah. I know. Don't stress me out.
HTTP.
Don't stress me out.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
See you next time.
This episode of Wedding Empires is brought to you by the Wedding Academy, where you can start and grow your wedding business. We offer certificate courses, group coaching programs, and a whole heap of templates and worksheets and things to help you get started and grow your wedding business. For more information, visit weddingacademyglobal.com. And don't forget to use your 5% discount code PODCAST when checking out.